Hey Acers, welcome to this week's Ace Role Playing Games Club's official podcast thing that I'm actually going to try and save it as a podcast, and because I found an option in YouTube, and let's see if I can actually get this thing to podcast, because I kind of see it as a podcast, always have, and it's because of podcasts that I got going in this in the first place. Today's topic will be the role playing games that I think would make good TV or movies. So that's what I'm going to get to. Now, to explain Ace Role Playing Games first, we are a teen self-unaliving prevention group. We set up Ace Role Playing Games clubs in every place we can. And right now we've only got the one, but we're building them. We're building them. We're working on it. But we have the goal of setting up our Ace Role Playing Games club in every game store and in every community that wants to have one. And have them geographically located so that other people from other towns and everything around can join in. I would love to see an Ace Role Playing Games Club in every country in the world. I'd love to see one in every game shop in the world, because this is about you. This is about the teenagers, and it's about you guys making clubs and making friendships that will last lifetimes and help you get through some of the hardest things you've ever gotten through. It was because of role-playing gaming that not just as a teenager did I make it through some of the hardest times of my life, because between 13 to 15, I almost wanted to delete my own save file. But now I'm still here. I didn't. And that was because I had role-playing game friends and role-playing games to look forward to every single week. And because of that, I'm still here. And it's helped me through hard times even as a grown-up. As I've gone through just some of the ups and downs of my life, it's been role-playing gaming that has actually helped me stay in my head and stay here. So that's what we are here for. And we're here to help you guys form your own clubs and tell your own stories. So that said, this week had, of course, the teen gaming on Tuesday night, which was great. And it's great because I'm kind of standing away from the tables now, and they're coming to me to ask me rules questions, which is fine. But now our Fallout table is in full swing. And we're going to try an experiment of they tell the first leg of the story. They finish it in 5 weeks, maybe 6 weeks. And then we're going to scramble the tables and start new games all over again. And we can start campaigns if that's what they want to play. Or we can do longer one-shots if that's what they want to play. But it just depends on how things go. But I have to say this. I have discovered, an amazing team game master. And I give a shout out to you, Jonah. You are amazing. At 13, you have a game mastering maturity that I didn't achieve until adulthood. Well done. I also give a shout out to Braden for having learned it. And he is going to be taking over probably the second table in the next phase. I also give a shout out to all of our players and to those who can play at mature levels, that they would be welcome at any of my grown-up tables. And with that said, I'm going to move on into also the fact that I started The Curious Death of Violet Evans with my ETU group. Now they're actually being able to play it in the sequence of the overall story, and this one's going to be fun. I just hate that my Midjourney account, I should probably look into how I set it up there in the first place, but right now it's attached to my Jump Corp first, or my Jump Corp channel, and unfortunately that means my players can take a direct look at anything that I spin up. So now going on to the topic of the podcast today, RPG that I'd like to see that I think could make a good movie or something, or a good TV show. Now, first of all, let me just say this much. RPGs are 50 years old now. And initially, there were some RPG movies, but they were bad ones. And they were during that time of the Satanic Panic. And they were fan-made ones and things like that. And nothing up really as far as this was a role-playing game that we made into a movie. Nothing to my memory up to the recent, just last year or the year before, when they made the Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves movie even qualified as good. And that includes the previous attempts at making Dungeons and Dragons movies. Nothing really worked. The cartoon kind of worked, but I wouldn't know as much on that because at the time that was satanic. My parents refused to allow me to watch it, and they wouldn't even let me get the Choose Your Own Adventure Dungeons and Dragons books. So, yeah, go figure. But I will tell you this much. After having seen Honor Among Thieves, which I thought was a fabulous film, and I've said it before, I'll say it again, I don't hate Dungeons and Dragons. I appreciate it. As a matter of fact, I'm very grateful for it because it started an industry that's got me here. And it started an industry that saved my life. And all that kind of stuff. So, yes, RPGs are here because of D&D. And admittedly, there were probably a few dabbles in that before because, there were a few attempts at collectible card games before Magic the Gathering came about. But Magic is really the one that just really started the industry. And there's other RPGs that I like as well that actually have been associated with movies and video games and things like that. And the video game franchises tended to do a little bit better. There were some really good D&D RPGs. There was a Dark Sun one that I really enjoyed and a Planescape one that, holy cow, I actually bought a retro version of it so that I can play it. And I'm sure that it won't be as much fun as I remember, but it was a really cool game. And the Baldur's Gate franchise is still going strong. But that being said, I think that, well, for one, if you were around for either one of my Mage the Ascension games, then you would see a story that would have made a great TV series. And actually, on that note, before I go too much further into this, I do want to also acknowledge the fact that many movies and TV series have been turned into role-playing games or have had role-playing games made for them. Of course, Star Wars was one of the very first ones because at the time, right around 83 is when Star Wars fizzled out. Star Wars had 83, 84, and then there wasn't anything. So in the early days of role-playing, because I still consider the 80s rather early, we had a Star Wars role-playing game. And part of the reason why we would want a Star Wars role-playing game, or a Walking Dead role-playing game, or a Dune role-playing game, or an Alien role-playing game, why do we want all these role-playing games set in these popular IPs? It's because these IPs are places that have sparked our imaginations and given us a curious look into it. And now, here we are. We want to make ourselves and our worlds into a cohesive story unit. We want to spend time in those worlds and just explore them in places that the camera didn't go. So, what other RPGs do I think would make great role-playing game or great TV series, TV episode, or TV show, TV series, or movie? Now, I actually also rank those kind of entertainments according to a TV episode or a TV show. Most cases is not going to be the best format for telling something. It's good for episodic. That's why Star Trek, actually, which also has a role-playing game, obviously, Star Trek is really good for episodic role-playing, where you have everything kind of in the status quo. Nothing really changes. You might get characters who change their job from being security to navigation or something like that, or something like that. But almost every episode, Captain Kirk is still the same captain that he was in the last episode. Captain Picard's the same one that he was in the last episode. I mean, it isn't until you get to the final episode, All Good Things, of Star Trek Next Generation, that things start to change and things start to get better. And there's real character progression. I mean, okay, there is some in those later seasons, with Picard especially, where Living in Light was so amazing. That was just one of those episodes that I was just like, that is good storytelling. And then and then also the Borg saga with Captain Picard. Those things did have character progression. So I'm not going to say that Star Trek always started back to status quo, but it quite often did. So that was the problem with Star Trek, and also the benefit of Star Trek. And it makes it so you can do a whole bunch of one-shots and just kind of loosely string them together and make the story. But that's where a plot point campaign comes in Savage Worlds, and that you have the one backbone story that's going on, and you're injecting these little episodes into the series, so that it makes it so even if my next group that's coming up that might want to play East Texas University, I could even take them through the same degrees of horror campaign. And a friend of mine who is going to be in both groups, the East Texas University with my local friends and my East Texas University with my distributed friends online, we can use that same storyline, and it will be slightly different. It'll be something that will be a different experience for my friend who's in both groups. So East Texas University, I think, also would make a great TV series, especially the Degrees of Horror campaign. And I think that it's almost already set up for that. Deadlands, you could do any number of things with Deadlands. And you could also do that with Last Parsec. You could do it with Holler. Holler would be a great one to see that main, the Savior of Hollow Oak and things like that. And a shout out to my friend Tracy Sizemore for getting the writing in on that. That was awesome. I just love all of it. Savage Worlds probably has some of the best story settings that would make for some great and original Hollywood fodder. So, Hollywood, my call to you is check these out. Find your nerds in your production crew that are playing Savage Worlds, or watch these videos and get some ideas, but start looking for something new. Start looking for something that you can turn into a TV series, especially because if you have a limited series, you could actually turn an RPG into a great story. That's part of the reason why, like, for example, in my opinion, the Dark Tower movie failed. No, there's many reasons for why it failed, but one of the reasons why it failed is because they tried to cram so much of the original Dark Tower series into one 2-hour movie. There's too much. I mean, for goodness sakes, Babylon 5 took 5 seasons to tell one story. And everything affected everything else that came down the lane. And that's one thing that I would love to see, is I would love to see something like Vossen. Vossen would be a great one to see turned into a TV series, or see a Call of Cthulhu game, or even like go as far as you want to really do it, multi-season and everything like that. Masks of Nyarlathotep, or the Mask of Nyarlathotep. That's one that's come back up, and it's available for purchase again, I believe, but I think it's like big chonkin books. And actually, I'm half thinking I might pick up the big chunkin books, read them, and run a Savage version of it, because that's going to be a series that my daughter and I are going to put together here on YouTube, and that's going to be Let's Savage It, or we're going to do it maybe on Instagram, because I've been on YouTube, I've been on Facebook, which I don't like Facebook that much, but I use it, and I've also decided I'm going to turn on a not Ace Role Playing Games Club Instagram account, because my daughter's already been running that, but I'm going to turn one on for the stuff that I'm doing here with all of this, and try and do, my daughter and I are going to call our channel T-Rex Slap Fight. So it's already copyrighted. But I want to let you guys know that you guys are amazing. I love you. I don't want you to unalive yourself. Don't delete your save file. Don't make this world a worse place because you're not in it. The world's a great place because you are. And I love you. I want you to stick around. I want you to play a role-playing game with me sometime. I hope to see you at my table. Until next time, this is Mason Emerson with the Ace Role Playing Games Club channel, signing off.